Well, for you folks who take any of the Saddleback College Emeritus classes, you know what great instructors that they have. We have another great one here today, Milagros Harrelson. I'd like to welcome you.
Thank you.
It is great to have you here today.
Thank you for having me here.
And you teach Spanish, right?
Yes. I teach Spanish at Emeritus Institute. I just started not too long ago.
Okay. So you're new to the program.
Yes, at Emeritus. I'm new teaching at the Emeritus Institute.
How long, in general, have you taught?
Well, like 5 years.
Okay. Where have you taught? You taught Spanish the whole time? Where have you taught Spanish?
I taught Spanish at a private school.
Okay. In this area?
Years. Yes, at a Christian private school.
Oh, very nice.
Yes. And also, my mentor trained me at Salva College. Mm-hmm. So I was in charge of lots of classes, although it was just a mentoring relationship. So, yeah.
That is fantastic. So you were teaching at a private school. Mm-hmm. What made you change and decided to do the emeritus?
Well, I think it's because I have 2 kids at home. Mm-hmm. That I was
fits a schedule, yeah.
I was doing that for some time. You know, it worked perfect with my with the schedule of my kids. But although I love teaching kids, when I start teaching college-age kids, I identify with them a lot, and I start remembering how it was for me when I was that age.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that some of them, just want to pass classes because it's the age, just want to pass the classes and not really, sometimes they are not really focusing on learning.
Right.
And then I learned about the Emeritus Institute, and my first experience with them was amazing because the students are there because they want to be there. The students are there because they really want to learn.
And that's what every instructor says.
It's the dream of any instructor.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. Whenever we've had one of the instructors on, that is the most common theme that you hear. You're working with students, let's face it, high school and even college, sometimes depending on their major or their elective, they're like, you've got to take a foreign language.
Yes.
And most of the time they'll take Spanish because living in this area, that seems to be the most sense. Mm-hmm. But here, these folks want to learn.
Exactly. So that's amazing. I can teach so many things to them because they are always curious and they are always asking about everything. They want to know everything. So that inspires me a lot, and it's amazing. Also, my culture has a lot of respect for adults.
Yes, it does.
And so for me, it is just a privilege to teach them.
Yeah, you're what? Abuelos and abuelas, right?
Yes.
Yes, there you go. When you're teaching a foreign language to older students, is your technique different, or is it pretty much the same as far as going through things?
Well, I had to make some adjustments. In general, my techniques are, I like to have a very interactive class. Mm-hmm. Where I put them in little groups and I participate with it, like I make them talk between each other, and I'm just there monitoring the whole thing. But I also put a lot of emphasis on the culture.
Right.
And the way I have adjusted for them is that maybe I have to just be a little more understanding that it takes them longer to memorize some things or remember more things. Well, a little child, they can remember things in 2 seconds. So, which has worked perfect for me because in general, I'm very patient. Not with my kids, but I'm very patient, and with them, they tell me all the time, "You are so patient. How can you be so patient?" I go I don't know. It's just them, It really for me they inspire me so much. I have so much respect for them. I learn so much from them, so much, because even though it seems that I'm teaching, the things that they say in the class, because they just, it makes me feel very rewarded inside for.
You mentioned the culture. Is that a big part of the class?
Yes, it's a huge part of the class because we cannot teach a language without teaching culture.
Right.
I know that years ago the way we would teach a language is by teaching the rules and the grammar.
That's right. Which was a very dry way of teaching it, and I don't think it set well.
No.
Yeah, remember. Yeah.
Exactly, and also, now that we can go all over the place kind of easy, like we can fly to other countries, and you're going to encounter people, and maybe if you don't know how they react to some things, maybe you can seem too cold or too forward for something. So I don't only teach culture as history that happens, because although I do that a lot, but I also teach culture from the point of view of how is people's reactions in the everyday, so and compare a lot to what I went through when I came here. Some things that I thought they were like no big deal, they were big deal for Americans, like I thought, oh my God, it's okay to give hugs, and sometimes it's not like that until you are closer to them. In my country, in Latin America, we are very loving and hugging. So if you just say hi from a distance, we feel a little bad, a little hurt.
Right.
So
but it's normal for us.
Yeah. So then teaching them all little things like that, I'm always teaching little things like that on the class.
Now, as far as the courses go, do you start with, I guess, Spanish 101? I don't know what it's called, but you start just with the basic, and can they move up to the next course, or do you just teach kind of one basic course?
Well, right now I'm teaching only Spanish 1.
Okay.
What I suggest is to go for Spanish 1 a couple of times at least, 2 or 3 times. My classes are not always going to be the same. The topics, like the topics I'm going to teach are going to practically be the same, but not the way I go around it. Never. I cannot repeat the same class because I would get bored. And I know that they will get bored. If someone is following me from Spanish 1 and is going to take it again with me, they are going to get bored if I teach the same. So I'm always trying to create new things for them.
Okay. That's a good point of why take the class a couple times. They're going to learn just new things.
Always.
Yeah. As far as you've taught overall for about 5 years, did you say?
Yes.
And what got you into teaching? Even 5 years ago, at what point did you say, you know what, I want to become a teacher?
Well, the truth is that I was a stay-home mom.
Okay.
And I have my degree. I have a degree in translation, a bachelor's in translation from a university in Peru, Lima, Peru. And then I was a stay-home. I came here. I got married, had my kids. Stay-home mom, but I always like teaching. And when do you teach the best, or is with your kids? You learn so much when we are teaching your kids things. Like you think that you're not teaching, but you are teaching them.
Yeah,
it just comes natural to you as a parent. So that got me a little excited about. Oh my God, maybe I should do teaching. And a lot of people was telling me that, people at my son's school was saying, why you don't teach Spanish here? And I was like, no, but I'm not really a teacher. I don't know if I should be doing it. I was thinking someone that has to be a teacher needs to have some some pedagogic background, like know how to. And then I found out that really here that doesn't happen too often. And I said, well, but I still cannot do it just because I don't feel good myself. I'm gonna work for my master's degree. So I went to Spain, and I went for a master's degree in Spanish culture and language.
Wow.
And I did it for a year, and it was amazing. It was the most amazing experience that I had until now, I think, besides my kids. And so that's how I got convinced finally of doing this. And then I started training at Salva College, and then found this job, and that's my perfect job. I always tell my boss, thank you, because this these are the perfect students, the perfect setting for everything. I love my students. They inspire me so much. They always want to learn. They are so curious about everything. They are laughing all the time at whatever things
And
I'm
that's
saying.
what, again, what I hear so often. You mentioned you're from Peru, right?
Yes.
You went over and to Spain, am I right?
Yes.
So Peruvian Spanish versus just Spanish in Spain versus what we hear so often here, which would be upper Mexican Spanish, upper meaning upper country, because it's different even in the lower area of Mexico. How do you combine all that? Because, and you know that it's kind of like different dialects and different inflections and things, right?
So what I focus more is to teach the standard Spanish.
Okay.
There's always going to be some difference, not only between Spain and Latin America, but also in Latin American countries.
Yeah.
Something in Mexico, maybe someone in Peru is not going to understand at the first time. Once we put it in context, we can understand, but sometimes it's hard. So I understand that for an American student or a student of Spanish, that Spanish is not the first language. It's hard sometimes to they get worried about that. I noticed that because they ask me, but what Spanish are you going to teach me? Well, I'm teaching like a standard Spanish. And they go, but is it going to be the one from Spain or the one from... It's because there is no... Right now, we cannot consider Spain to have the best Spanish. It's not that. No? So I teach standard Spanish. I teach them some things from different countries. You know how I don't use the vosotros in Spain. They use it, and I'm gonna make the conjugations for the verbs and stuff like that. But I don't. The whole point is for them to communicate.
And you have a summer class, and your beginning summer class, beginning Spanish class is going to be in Lake Forest City Hall.
Yes.
And the registration begins tomorrow. So now is the time for summer registration. And I encourage you, this sounds just like a fun class. You can see Milagros, how much she is passionate about her students. And I really thank you for coming on today.
No, thank
it's
you
been wonderful.
For having me here.
And the website, saddleback.edu/emeritus. Of course, you can go to Clubhouse 4 and find out about those classes there.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you very much.
You.
And we'll be right back. Yes.